Across the United States, towering cranes and skeletal steel structures rise into the skyline every day. But some construction sites become eerily silent after sunset, when workers refuse to return. These abandoned night shifts are not caused by ordinary workplace dangers or equipment malfunctions, but by unsettling encounters that workers claim cannot be explained by logic. Tonight on True Terror Files Official, we investigate 3 haunted construction sites where crews reported shadow figures, mysterious machinery movements, and chilling sounds, echoing through unfinished structures. Ask yourself something before we begin. If you were working alone on a half-built skyscraper at midnight and heard footsteps above you, would you keep working or leave immediately? Many workers initially believed the strange events were simple glitches, but what they witnessed after dark quickly changed their perspective forever. If you enjoy real-world mystery stories and unexplained encounters like these, remember to subscribe to True Terror Files Official, where we explore the unsettling mysteries hidden in everyday places. Story 1. The Moving Crane. Our first story takes place at a luxury high-rise construction project in Chicago, where Ethan Walker, the site engineer overseeing night operations, began noticing unusual mechanical behavior after sunset. According to Ethan, several cranes on the site would slowly rotate late at night. Even though their power systems had been shut down and all operators had already left the control cabins, at first the management team suspected strong winds or electronic faults. But maintenance inspections repeatedly confirmed that the machinery was functioning normally during daylight hours. One evening, crane operator Carlos Ramirez stayed behind to document the issue, positioning cameras around the site while the building skeleton towered silently above him. Just after midnight, the crane arm slowly began turning again, its massive steel structure creaking softly, while the operator cabin remained completely empty. Moments later, Carlos reported hearing footsteps, echoing across the unfinished floor above him, even though security logs confirmed he was the only person inside. The final incident occurred when several workers witnessed the crane's hook lowering slowly toward the ground, without any visible operator controlling the machine. Shortly after that night, the entire evening crew requested to be transferred, leaving the once busy night construction schedule completely abandoned. Story 2. The Concrete Foundation. The second case involves a suburban hospital expansion, where construction supervisor Ethan Walker was temporarily reassigned to oversee a foundation project during a difficult winter build. Workers began noticing something strange about one particular section of the concrete slab, where freshly poured material repeatedly refused to harden despite normal curing conditions. Construction teams poured and repowered the same section several times, yet each morning the concrete appeared cracked or partially unset, as if something beneath the surface had shifted overnight. During one late inspection, Ethan and foreman Carlos Ramirez heard faint knocking sounds, coming from within the steel reinforcement bars embedded inside the foundation. Believing it might be trapped air or structural stress, they waited quietly, but the rhythmic knocking continued, in a pattern that sounded disturbingly deliberate. The following morning, workers discovered an unusual imprint, hardened within a nearby pillar that resembled the sole pattern of a construction boot pressed deep into the concrete surface. No employee admitted stepping into the wet structure, and surveillance cameras recorded no activity. Throughout the entire night, after repeated unexplained incidents, several crew members refused to work the evening shift again, insisting the site felt strangely active once darkness settled over the unfinished building. Story 3: Shadows on the Bridge. Our final account comes from a highway bridge project in Oregon, where security guard Jake Sullivan monitored the site during overnight hours while construction crews rested. Jake described the massive bridge skeleton as extremely quiet after midnight, with only the wind and distant river currents echoing through the hollow steel framework. However, multiple workers had already reported seeing dark silhouettes standing along the narrow catwalks that stretched high above the water. Initially, Jake assumed these sightings were caused by shadows, but one evening he personally observed a figure moving slowly across a restricted walkway. Believing someone had trespassed onto the dangerous structure, Jake immediately radioed for assistance while watching the figure from the ground. But when additional guards reached the catwalk minutes later, the walkway remained completely empty, with no possible path for someone to leave unnoticed. Thermal imaging scans performed later during a routine inspection detected several unexplained heat signatures, briefly appearing inside hollow support beams. Even though investigators found no physical intruders, several construction workers later declined to continue night shifts after hearing loud knocking sounds, echoing from deep within the steel framework. Final reflection: 3 construction sites, 3 separate crews, and a growing pattern of unexplained activity seems to emerge only after the sun disappears below the horizon. Heavy cranes moving without operators, concrete behaving unpredictably, and shadow figures appearing where no workers should be. Some believe these events are simply strange coincidences or misunderstood mechanical issues that happen during complex construction projects. Others wonder whether, disturbing the ground beneath these developments, they have uncovered forgotten history that refuses to remain buried beneath new foundations. If you were working on one of these sites after midnight and heard footsteps echo through the empty steel frame, would you stay on the job or walk away forever?